Hi guys, welcome to the first in my series of can Drupal add captions to my uploaded videos? Now the answer to that question is a definitive yes. Now you might be asking the question, why on earth, Bevan, do you want Drupal to process your caption? If you know anything about me, I'm very passionate about the use of open source and I'm very resistant to vendor lock-in and using proprietary systems when there are free solutions available. Now in this case, Kdenlive Live, the open source video editor that I use, does not handle ASS files. It doesn't do fancy captions at all. I could use DaVinci Resolve and pay a one-time fee for that, but I'm on a shoestring budget and they're proprietary. Hey, can I get Drupal to do it for me? Absolutely yes. Let's get into a quick demo on my local machine of Drupal processing a video and adding fancy captions. Let's get into it. Okay, so we just go to the website and we're just going to create a media entity. Now I've made a media entity type called Forge Video. Let's just call it Captions Demo. And all we need to do is upload a video file. So I'm going to upload one that I created on my phone earlier just to use for our demonstration. And we simply save that, go and view that media entity, and let's have a look. See, it's got no captions, so it's straight recorded directly off my phone. For our demo today. So let's just hit the generate captions link. Now normally cron takes care of the processing on my production site, but in my development site I'm just going to trigger that queued process using Drush. So that'll run that queue job and generate the captions. This will take a little while now because it's calling OpenAI's Whisper CLI directly. It'll produce a transcript, and once the transcript's produced, it will convert that to a .ass file and attach that to the media entity along with Whisper's JSON file. Now that that job is completed, let's just jump back to the website now. Okay, if we reload this page, what we'll see is the JSON file and the ASS file attached to this media entity. As you can see down here, a JSON transcript file, a subtitle file, and if we play this, there's our captions. So those captions are just playing on top of the HTML video, embedded video. So what we need to do now is actually render them into the video itself. So we've clicked render captions, and again, we'll go down to Drush and run the rendering job that has been queued by clicking render captions. Okay, having done that, we can now come back to the web page, refresh again, and we'll see two versions of this video. The second one down here, having the captions rendered onto that video. So we can now save that video down locally and open it up in VLC, and we'll see that the captions are rendered into the video. Drupal adding captions for the win. And boom. What we're going to do is launch my system in DDev. So we go to my website, and Miles will work on it in here and see what's working and go through the components of what goes into making it generate captions. Seeing me figure it out, work out what's going on, work out why it's not working, debug it. It's the first time I've ever got OBS working where I've got this camera recording over here as well as two different screens recording. So I've got two desktops, my laptop desktop and my Samsung monitor over here. So I've got a Logitech webcam up here, got the integrated webcam from my laptop up here, got an external mic. That's the current setup I've got. Let's get on with it. Go straight to a DDev start, and that's gonna bring up my local version of the website, and we can launch that. This is this Docker Compose fonts. Why don't we look at that while we're here, right? Let's in DDev, just while we're waiting for that to come up. Oh, I really got to get using NeoVim or something. I don't like VS Code. I tried to use it and I don't, because working on such a shoestring budget, I'm not using my PHP Storm because I didn't renew my license. So here we are in Vim. Don't need this version. Let's just get rid of that. Easy. I don't think I even need to test this. So what this is for, this is because we need different custom fonts for the captions. So So what this little Docker file does in my DDev is install some fonts. Like it mounts, what it's actually doing is mounting my local host font folders into the container. It's also mounting my locally installed version of Whisper, OpenAI's Whisper, which is the tool that does the transcoding. So that's not the Whisper CLI, that's just the model, the AI model that does the transcoding. This is the medium model, so that's so I don't need to download it and install it every time I restart DDev. I've got it installed in my hosts. When you install Whisper, that's where it, and when you run Whisper the first time, this is where it installs the model. Right, and there should be a speck of colour in there. Yeah, so I've got the large, medium, small, so I just mount that into the container so that when I run Whisper the first time in a rebuilt container, it doesn't have to download the massive big modules again. Woof, we're taking some time. We do it in my Docker file. Here we go. So we use Python to do it. So when I bring up my local development environment, Python pip install OpenAI Whisper. So it's I think it's a Debian machine. So using at to install pip and a virtual environment, and then we use Python 3 pip install OpenAI Whisper, installs the Whisper CLI. Now I think for a future piece of work, I probably want to actually start using OpenAI's Cloud API and use their cloud version of Whisper. But I do it this way because of my shoestring budget. I can just run it locally. Now it runs okay, speed-wise, on my local machine. On my host in the production environment on production, it runs super slowly. It takes ages to do the transcoding, which is why I probably want to use OpenAI's Whisper, but it costs some money, which I don't have at the moment. So put up with it being slow. And I wasn't prepared for this to take a while, but I think I recently cleaned up all my Docker environment to save space on my hard drive. That's why it's rebuilding this. So it's also why I'm not live streaming it and pre-recording this. We can speed through it and do it faster. And recording multiple streams means I can edit out waffle. What I use is a module which is actually not in part of this code base. It is in this Video Forge module, which I haven't put up on. I got it in a private Git repository, so you can see the bits and pieces that go together to make this work. Essentially, we just upload a file with Drupal media, and then let's look at the source. I've got to remind myself how this is all put together. So entities should be okay. So entities are caption style, so I can use Drupal config to store various different kinds of captions. So this defines that, and you can see that I've got you got all these settings for the caption: the font name, font size, primary color, secondary color, outline color. These are all attributes that end up in the .ass file that's generated. So you can use that config. If we look in config install, we should see no, not that. Forgot. Yeah. So it comes with this style pre-installed. So you can see we've got Font name Anton SC, font size 70, primary colors this, blah blah blah, bold -1, da 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 da, etc. Primary highlights, secondary highlights, all sorts of stuff beyond us, but that's all for, you know, what these highlight colors here, like this green, basic color, primary color, etc. Okay. So ls source again. What do we got here? We've got style list builder, caption style, access, controller, entity form, plugin, and service. I think the important things are in source, plugin, and source service. Okay, so we've got a queue worker. The plugin and the queue worker, just so when you upload a video and it's got to do that long transcription, it puts it into a queue, which cron picks up and cron runs, so it runs in the background and doesn't hold up your front end interface. Source service, captions processor, render processor, video processor. So I think the captions processor probably does the transcoding. From memory, generate captions. Here we go. So we get the style name that's defined, and we can load that config. Here we go, and it runs a whisper command on the CLI. So we've got the path to whisper stored in config. So it just calls the whisper CLI. My mouse dripping across the screen like that. This config whisper path, you know, uses the medium model, outputs a JSON file, outputs this output directory, includes timestamps, so that for like the word timestamp, so every single word gets a timestamp again next to it, and we just do a shell to exec that. This is what I should be replacing with the OpenAI's Whisper API, and then we go and process the subtitles. So that process the subtitles will be down here, right? So it calls this ASS subtitle generator. So that ASS subtitle generator is going to convert the JSON file into an ASS file. See? So generate ASS from JSON. So that should be in source subtitle. There it is. So some settings for how it chunks the words up. To get the style, ASS's format doesn't automatically do some of these styles the way you want them to, and I do some fancy tricks like adding the same line multiple times with different words highlighted in it and stuff. So the processing here is a little bit tricky. So you load the style configuration from Drupal config, convert the entity to an array, so it turns the configuration entity into an array. When we do this, generate ASS content, right? So come down here. So we generate the header for the ASS file. We take all that data and then generate ASS events. So you can see our header is in here. So this is the header of the ASS file. Just defines what our format for our styles is going to look like. Add styles for the primary highlight, secondary highlight. So you've got this basic format, and then it adds a couple of style item lines to define some styles in the ASS format. It's beyond the scope of this video to go into the format of the ASS file. And this is what builds the style string, and there's the generate ASS event. So you can see that I've created a sequence. Now that's what I was talking about before, when you've got when I want to highlight one word at a time, because ASS has like a feature called just karaoke, which will then, if you see here, other people this example, what karaoke do, it'll be white, and then every word that hasn't been said in this particular segment of subtitle yet will be a different color. But I want creating content, as you can see, that only the current words are different color, and I want these ones to be white too. Whereas karaoke goes, everything that's been said goes white, and everything across here would be green. So I had to do this sequence in order to add the lines multiple times. Now we'll have a look at what that generates in an ASS file when we get to it. So that basically, this is the thing that generates the ASS file. God, it must be downloading the Whisper model. I thought that was the whole point, was to avoid doing that. This is taking forever. Wasn't prepared for that. All right. We just got to wait for that. I think there's not much else to show off. That's the general gist of how the code's structured until the website's up for me to show you, to actually do a demo and show, how all this comes together as a Drupal module with, your routing, the task, the menu. I've got to wait. So let's just wait until this is finished. So it's been a few weeks since I've used this captioning tool on my local development environment, and I know that I made some changes to this and it's not in a fully working state. I just can't remember exactly what the issues are, so I need to do some manual testing, upload a video, test that, see what captions happen, see what errors I get, and then go from there. Well, this transcription is taking way longer than expected. Time to go and check the logs and see if we can figure out what's going on here. Well, that'll do it. We're trying to load up a caption style configuration called default style, which no longer exists. That'll do it. Okay, so we generated an ASS file by using Drush on the command line just to not have to wait for cron. And so here's the ASS file open. Can I zoom on this? Let's bring it on the other screen. It's a bit easier to see. So this is the generated ASS file using the default green and gold thing. So I fixed that issue with my default thing. So we've got an ASS file now. This application is AGI sub, which is an ASS editor. Well, my Drupal site's been able to generate this set of subtitles. It's not what I expected though, because you can see it's all just the default style in here. I can see that there's no like formatting codes in these subtitles. So we've got to resolve that. I think if we play this now. Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers, having been in Singapore. Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers. Let's just open up my files, videos. Bring it over this screen. Make a temporary one called caption test. Right, we're gonna bring this video down. Save video as videos caption test into there. We'll save the ASS file in there too, and then play it with VLC and see if the captions work in there.
Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers, having been in Singapore, checking out the DrupalCon Singapore that was sponsored.
Rookie error. As you can see, this JavaScript is pointing to some files that we're going to include that are hard-coded to /modules/custom/VideoForge. Now, I've since moved VideoForge module to its own repository and install it through Composer, so it gets installed into modules/contrib. So we need to update this code base to load these files in from the modules installed location, not modules/custom. It's like playing whack-a-mole, whack, whack, whack. I've got those errors sorted out now, so it actually displays the captions on the videos. But as you can see, they're just plain old white. They're not rendering my fancy captions. They're not applying my styles, my green, my highlights. Got to figure that out. Let's get into that then. Oh, that's better. Why did it work this time?
Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers, having been in Singapore, checking out the DrupalCon Singapore that was sponsored to go and check out.
Right? So that's great. Let's
settling back in.
Fix up this caption style. Oh, what do we got? So it's the primary highlight has horrible drop shadow. You should be able to find primary highlight down here, primary color, primary highlight, and that should be Anton SC for a start. Font size, primary color, secondary color, background color, bold, italic, underline, strikeout, scale, scale Y. I don't necessarily know what all of these do. Shadow 0. Now that the styles are actually rendering properly, let's tweak the configuration a bit to get them looking a bit nicer, because there's something wrong with those configs and they're not looking the way they were before, so I need to make some minor adjustments. Let's do that now.
Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers, having been in Singapore, checking out the DrupalCon Singapore.
All right. Well, cool. Now I can turn this video into a
We're sponsored to go and check.
We want to get this up on prod. To do that, I've edited the video captions in my private repo. I wonder if Composer will just automatically do it. So what we see here now, I'll try and do a Composer update on the VideoForge module directly, and it doesn't work. So my workaround for that is to just remove the VideoForge module and run Composer install. Now I'll work out later, we'll see it way down the track, that I figure out I can do a Composer remove and then Composer require, and that will update it in a single go without me having to delete it manually. If there's a better way to update a private repository Composer package, let me know in the comments down below. Interject here for a minute while I'm reviewing all this footage. I'll go down a bit of a rabbit hole. First thing I did is just straight up remove VideoForge using rm-rf, and then used Composer install to put it back in there. Before I figured out I can just do Composer remove, Composer install. And also there was a warning about the common mark package in Composer being out of date, so I went and tried to update that and went down a whole rabbit hole. Of course, the Drupal module that supports that doesn't have the new version in it yet, and I had to wind all that back. So we're going to skip through all that, and just part of the job. Going down rabbit holes, got to learn not to do that. Let's continue. And now here we've got a little bit of foreboding. If you see this command I've got here, where I back up my Video Forge into Video Forge 2, keep an eye on that. That's going to bite me in the foot later. And here I've noticed that the Common Mark package has a security issue, so I decided to update that. And in order to cover the security issue, I updated it to Common Mark version 2, which led to a bunch of problems that I had trouble resolving. So I'll go down a bit of a rabbit hole with that before I have to go and revert those changes, which becomes another challenge. Let's watch that now. I'll have to worry about this later. No more markdown. I tried reverting back to the previous version of Common Mark in Composer, but no, that didn't work. I still got the error. So I got drastic and completely removed Common Mark from the vendor directory altogether and then added it in again. But no, I still got the error. And then I got even more drastic and did a complete restore of my production database into my development environment. So now I have completely restored the prod database down to my local dev environment, still getting that error as though we're running on Common Mark 2. I've done a Composer clear cache, a Composer dump auto load, so I have gone ahead and completely deleted the vendor directory and the vendor.lock, and I'm running another Composer install to see what happens. Woohoo! We got there. That was a rabbit hole. Well, now it's time to get back on to what we were meant to be doing, working on getting those captions working properly. Let's continue. Okay, so then let's commit those changes, push the repository up to the main branch and deploy to prod. Alright, so as those fixes deploy up to production, let's go take a look at the dev site and see if we can identify some other areas of improvements we can make to the captions, iron out some wrinkles. Okay, so this is how we now render the captions onto the video. When you're playing it here in the browser, this is
well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers, having been in Singapore.
But what we're going to do now is actually generate a rendered version of the video. We're going to run through FFmpeg, encode those captions into the video file, and then we're going to download it, put it in KDN Live, and turn it into a portrait mode so I can stick it up on TikTok. Okay, so that's done. Let's refresh this now. Now we've got two versions of it. This one.
Well, I'm back home.
So if we download this, let's delete those ones we tested before. Over here, create, download this one. So there's no ASS file in there to get in the way. Downloaded super quick because it's local. And this should have the captions file. Why did it not play?
Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers, having been in Singapore checking out the DrupalCon Singapore that was sponsored to go and check out.
Okay, that's actually not how I want it. What I want to do is turn this video, let's download this one, and turn this into a portrait, upload that, and then put the captions in that one.
Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers having Well, I'm back home up in the Northern Rivers, having been in Singapore, checking out the DrupalCon Singapore that was sponsored to go and check out. Settling back into life. I've got a lot of work to do now. I've got a lot of footage, a lot of videos to go through and to start heading through. And it might be a bit windy, but we'll deal with that. So I'm just out enjoying the weather here now, just settling back in. I've got to go grab a bacon egg roll at Martin's.
This morning I uploaded a video I took to put up on TikTok, a portrait style video via my phone. We're going to have a look at this through the desktop. So here's the media uploaded, and what we see is we went through the generate captions thing. We ran that, it queued, it processed, it completed, and that's all well and good. We generated an ASS file, but what we see...
Also, I've just completed doing my choices for today.
No captions. Now, I'm not sure what the reason for that is, so let's have a look. First thing we're going to do is check the ASS file. Now open that with gedit, and boom, straight away the ASS file has no events. Got the styles, but there's no events. Now why would that be? Let's have a look at the JSON file. Why has it got no events, huh? Oh, see, what we can do is queue it again and get it to generate them again. Now, of course, there's a transcript there. Now it's queued. Now we just got to wait for a while. It should be pretty quick because it doesn't need to generate the transcript first. It already exists in this JSON file. So, there we go. It's completed. See how quick that was? Now just make sure the browser cache is all cleared, etc. And let's check our ISS file this time. no events. So we're going to have to figure that out. Back to the drawing board. Let's get into it. So it works locally. What's going on? Also, I've just completed doing my choices for today, and I realise it's been a while since I've done one of these portrait style updates and trying. Well, at least I can get this up on TikTok. Let's do that. Also, I've just completed doing my choices for today, and I realise it's been a while since I've done one of these portraits.